Alright guys, so this is Jacob from Wager Me This, and I had a guy ask me what I thought basically about being on or off on the come out. Alright, after a lot of going back and forth on this throughout my time playing craps, I've come to the conclusion that it's situational. And the situations aren't generally that hard to figure out. Alright, so for example, every situation except for one, when I'm playing the don't pass, I'm off. I'm off on the come out. And the reason is because it's too expensive. All right, so if let's say I had 110 inside and $50 don't pass, all right? If I'm on and I lose, I'm going to lose $160. So it's not the value of making the 35 I can make up here. It's just not. You're talking about, 5 or 6 times. Every time I lose, I got to win 5 or 6 to cover that. So that's from the don't. I'm almost always off. All right. The one instance that it's different is if I'm playing like an iron cross from the don't. All right. So let's say I had a $75 don't, and then these were all 2 units. Okay, I like this don't. This is probably my favorite. I like this iron cross. It's probably my favorite iron cross. All right, and the reason being is because the reason I'm not worried about this at this point is because in the iron cross, you're always fighting the 7. The 7's the bad number. So if I get that I'm fighting it for 75 here, and it really ends up being 100, or whatever, but you're fighting it either way, You could wait and then go through a don't, but it's still the same thing. So this is the only instance where I just let it go. If I'm playing the iron cross, because the value's there, if I hit on something, you don't have to fight as hard to get it back, it seems like. But that's kind of still a preference thing. All right, so that's the only time that I like being on the come out from the don't. All right, every other time from the don't, I don't think you should be working your bets. I think they should be off. You're trying to establish that don't. You don't want to lose a bunch of money. You'd rather just lose that don't bet. All right, so let's go from the pass line. Okay, so there's one instance that I'm for sure always on. Okay. So let's say you got something like this, and you got, for whatever reason, you're playing a bigger pass line, all right? And sometimes I do this, and it's more of like, let's say you shot and you hit your point, and you made some money, and I'm going to play a bigger pass line. That way I can work these bets, all right? I can work these bets here. I got $75 pass line, so if I do roll a 7, I at least cover most of what I'm going to lose up here. So that's the one instance where I think you should be on the pass line. If you're playing a bigger pass line bet that covers either most or all of your box numbers. At that point, it's worth the risk, all right? In my opinion. Now, the rest of the times from the pass line, I actually think are just kind of preference, all right? Because the actual overall math, you're not going to get you're not always going to have good guys that can roll 7 or can roll other numbers besides the 7 on the come out, or can roll 7s on the come out on command. You're not going to get that all the time. So most of the time you generally got to base it off what's going to happen is more random. And from the pass line side, at that point it's kind of preference, because it's the same thing. Okay, so let's say you have a $10 pass line bet and you have a $30 6 and a $30 8. All right, if you work them on the come out, you could lose the $70. But let's say you get a point and it goes to 4. This next roll, when they are working, it's still the same thing. You never had an instance where it was any different, really. There just wasn't. The only difference is that this was a winner at first, and now it's a loser. So it kind of comes down to preference. If there's not some extenuating circumstance to it on the pass line, where you're playing a big pass line bet to cover, you know, your box numbers. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to roll a little bit of it against each other and see kind of just what happens. It's not going to be a very good indicator, I wouldn't say, just because, I mean, so much stuff could be different, you know. All right, so I'm going to make 2 stacks of whatever this is. I don't even know what that is money-wise. I'm going to make 2 stacks of it. We're going to go from there. All right, so 1 stack will be over here. 1 stack will be over here. All right. So what we're going to say is that this guy over here, he never works his come out bets, and this guy over here always works his come out bets. All right, I'm not going to go by the rules I just applied for you. I'm just going to say always does, always doesn't, and we're going to start on the pass line. All right, here we go. 4, 2, 6. Okay. So let's just say oh, you know, we'll rebuy it if we want. It's not a huge deal. The money's not, I'm not that concerned with that. It really just comes down to 1 play on each one. And that's that initial roll. All right, there's a 9. $35. 35. There's the 5. 35. 35. There's the 8. Well, it's easy if you just make numbers over and over and over, right? It's really simple to win that way. And the 6. Okay, so we made our point, so that's good. That'll give us the situation that we want to be in. This is the situation we're trying to look at. Okay. So in this case, this guy over here that's on the bottom line, he's going to work his bets. And the guy over here is not. Or whichever way I said it in the beginning, I'm not really sure. It doesn't matter right now if I messed up, because they have the same amount of money. So, all right, so the guy on the bottom line is going to work. All right, we're going to make this guy work in over here. He's working. I'm going to put this under it. That way I know. All right, here we go. There's a 3. Okay, so it didn't change nothing. Just loses on the come outs. Here we go. All right, 5. So here's the advantage. One player has an advantage because he was working, so he's going to win this time. All right, so I'm going to put his advantage winnings over here. All right, I'm going to roll it out again. 7, okay. So everybody loses. Okay, so this guy's won a little bit. He's going to work his come outs. He's going to go on and play a 6 and 8. And so this is where the difference would come in. He's going to work this 6 and 8. This guy's not. Hard 6. Okay. So at that 35, he's going to go back over here into, is it an advantage or not? 0.6, and this guy over here is going to play the same amount of money. All right, here we go. 5. 9. 3. 4. Hard 4. 7. Okay. Again, I don't know if it's not just preference, because when you're just playing pure light side version of it. All right, so this guy again, he's going to be out there working his bets on that 6 and 8. All right, here we go. 9, 6, 3, 9. See, because like at that point, if you're not all the way across working, it could not matter. You know, it could just not make a difference at all. And again, this is going to be shot as such a short sample that it's probably not going to be indicative of what is actually true. I mean, it's going to be a small screenshot of it. Both $35 winners. There's the point made 9. All right. This is what we want to see, so that's good. All right, so this guy's working. There's the 6. I mean, so it's paying off for him right now, being working. He just won another $35 that the other player did not win. And like I said, though, I don't know how much this matters in the long run. I think it evens out pretty well. There's the 7. I actually do. I do think it evens out pretty well in the long run, because that first roll, second roll, third roll, fourth roll, if you're considering all the rolls random, it's basically the same roll. So if you don't think there's any influence in the dice or anything to do with averages or anything like that. Come out 7. Okay, so this guy would have lost one. Hold on, I didn't have it up there. I was supposed to. All right, so he would have had 30 working. He would have lost this time. He would have got it back there, but he would have lost $50. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over here for this guy's advantage. I know it was his money, but it was this guy's advantage for not being on. All right, so we'll see kind of who comes in the advantage the most by the end. All right, here we go. We're working. 6, 2, 8. Okay, so that's $35. This guy's going to get his money also. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 1, 5. 3, 1, 4. 7, 6, 1, 7. Okay. Okay. Same thing again. This guy's working. They're both on the line. And a 7. Okay, so we had a couple that worked and a couple that didn't work. Kind of like I thought. You know, you're losing a lot more than you gain. You know, you're only gaining 35, but when you lose, oops, that 50 should have went there. You're losing 50. So it's a $15 difference overall. And I mean, we started with the same amount of money. So let's just see where we're at. It looks to me like it's pretty similar, maybe even exactly the same. The 25, okay, so the guy that was working to come out is ahead just a little bit, like $20. He's $20 ahead. And so, I mean, I don't know, if we went 10 more rolls, would he be ahead still? I'm not really sure. You know, I think from the light side, it's basically preference, unless you're using that pass line to cover a bunch of box numbers and you're going to go play it that way. Now, from the don't pass side, I don't think you should ever be on. That's just my opinion. I think you lose too much when you do lose. If you guys want me to show the don't pass side, I will. Just tell me. But I've had that a lot. I've done that a lot, and you just lose. When you lose too much. And so I actually don't ever do that anymore. Anyways, this is Jacob from Wager Me This, and I appreciate you guys for watching. Check out my website, wagermethis.com, and there's a lot of good stuff on there, guys. A lot of good information. Basically breaks down exactly the way I think about craps, as well as a bunch of other stuff, contest stuff, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys for watching. You guys have a great night.